We're taught that Woodward and Bernstein broke the Watergate story, but in truth, it was two women who first exposed the crimes of the Nixon administration. Her name was Martha Mitchell, and she was the wife of John Mitchell, Attorney General and head of the committee to re-elect Richard Nixon, also known as the CRP. Martha was known as a woman who was unafraid to speak the truth, and because of her husband, she knew a lot of truths. In June of 1972, they were at a Republican fundraiser in Beverly Hills when John got word of the break-in of Democratic headquarters in the Watergate Hotel. John told reporters this had nothing to do with the CRP, but one of those arrested was John McCord, a member of the CRP and Martha's head security guard. John knew that if his wife found out, she would spill the beans. He told Martha to stay in L.A. and enjoy the sun while he went to Washington. He told her security detail to keep her away from the news. But Martha got a copy of the L.A. Times from the front desk and began to read about Watergate. She went back to her room and called Helen Thomas, a friend and reporter for United Press International. Her security guards overheard and ripped the phone out of the wall. Helen said she heard Martha say, "You get away from me," before the line went dead. Martha tried to get to the other phone, but they tackled and restrained her, calling a doctor who came and administered tranquilizer shots while they held her down. She was kept sedated and held captive for a week. When she was finally released and brought back to Washington, she called Helen and told her everything. Helen reported on it, but instead of a front-page story, it was published in the women's section, right next to Jell-O recipes. Thus began a 2-year campaign to label Martha as a crazy alcoholic who makes up stories. Nixon paid a psychologist to diagnose her as mentally ill. When the truth came out, the term the Martha Mitchell effect was coined, which meant that a woman is labeled crazy when she's exposing an inconvenient truth. When people speak of Watergate, remember that, as in many cases from our past and present, it was women who first stood up against injustice, but they were ignored or labeled crazy until the truth could no longer be hidden and a man finally repeated whatever the women had already disclosed. In this perilous time in our nation's history, it's important to remember the many amazing women who came before us and that their spirits of courage inspire us to speak up and stand up and acknowledge the women whose broad shoulders we stand on.